There has always been a line drawn between the lower, middle, and upper classes. A line that quietly separates lives, lifestyles, and dreams. But few people realize that there's another world tucked right between them. A subtle, yet powerful layer known as the upper middle class. While the middle class stands for balance and stability, the comfort of bills paid and modest savings, the upper middle class moves a step beyond. It's the world of quiet financial freedom, of choices that no longer depend on fear or survival. It's not the luxurious life of the ultra-rich, but it's a life of security and confidence that many people dream of reaching. As your income begins to rise and your net worth grows, there comes a moment when you start to wonder, have I crossed that invisible line? When do you stop being middle and start being upper middle? There isn't a single number that defines it. No universal threshold or one-size-fits-all chart. But there are signs, clear, life-changing signals that tell you you've stepped into that next realm. Let's explore them, one by one. You have extra money after investments and expenses in the middle class. Disposable income means there's just enough left for small pleasures after bills are paid. But in the upper middle class, the game changes entirely. You have money left over after everything, after maxing out your retirement accounts, after making your investments, after taking care of your responsibilities. It's not just about having extra cash. It's about what that money represents. Freedom. You're no longer checking your balance before going out. You're no longer stressing over a purchase. You've built a safety net so strong that spending becomes a choice, not a risk. Slowly, you begin to notice the shift. Vacations no longer require months of saving. Weekend trips, family outings, or dinner at a nice restaurant become normal parts of life. They're not luxuries you hope for. They're comforts you can afford after everything important has already been handled. And the most striking part? You're not doing this to show off. You're not proving anything to anyone. You've mastered your finances to the point that your money now works quietly for you, growing in the background like a silent ally. You invest in stocks, index funds, and maybe even a second home that brings in extra income. You're not rich enough to stop working, but rich enough to stop worrying. That peace of mind is priceless. You own a mix of assets. The middle class earns and saves, but the upper middle class builds and owns. You've reached a level where your financial strength doesn't lie in cash alone, but in the variety of your assets. You have stocks that rise and fall with the markets, real estate that appreciates over time, and maybe even a share in a business that brings in steady profits. Your money no longer sits still. It multiplies. Every dollar you own is like a seed planted in fertile soil, quietly growing and expanding your reach. Even if your wealth is spread across different areas, its total weight gives you a sense of power and stability. Perhaps your home is fully paid off, or maybe you're close. And if you still carry a mortgage, it's one that never feels like a burden. It's a manageable piece of a much larger, well-structured plan. You've stepped past the stage of simply saving money. You're creating wealth. You understand equity, compound interest, and the art of letting time grow your fortune. That mindset, the ability to think in decades, not months, is the clearest sign that you've entered the upper middle class. You live in a more expensive neighborhood. Sometimes, the easiest way to know where you stand is to simply look around. When your home sits in a community that people want to live in, not just for status, but for safety, comfort, and quality of life, you've made it further than you think. The upper middle class isn't about showing off. It's about choosing peace. You no longer compare your car or house to your neighbors. You don't need to. The things you own fit your life perfectly, without straining your wallet or stealing your sleep. Your address isn't a statement of pride. It's a reflection of your hard-earned freedom. You chose your home because it aligns with your lifestyle, not because you needed to prove anything. Maybe it's quieter, more private, more peaceful. You might value community, good schools, or beautiful surroundings more than luxury. That kind of confidence, quiet, steady, and unshakable, speaks louder than any mansion ever could. You have minimal financial stress. 1. of the strongest signs that you've reached the upper middle class is peace. The kind of peace that comes when unexpected bills no longer scare you. When a medical emergency happens or your car breaks down, you don't panic. You handle it, calmly, smoothly, without chaos. It's not just about having an emergency fund. It's about control. You plan ahead. You prepare. You make decisions before life forces you to. You live in a state of readiness rather than reaction. That calm control protects more than your bank account. It protects your mind. You sleep deeper, breathe easier, and make wiser choices. Even when life throws surprises, you face them with the quiet confidence of someone who knows you'll be fine. That peace isn't bought overnight. It's earned, built layer by layer, with every smart choice you've made along the way. You've experienced positive lifestyle changes. Reaching. The upper middle class doesn't just change your finances, it transforms your entire way of living. Suddenly, things that once felt out of reach are part of your normal reality. You're not showing off. You're simply living better, traveling more, eating healthier, exploring new hobbies, and paying for things that once seemed extravagant. Business class flights, private health care, fine dining, they're not luxuries anymore. They're possibilities. Your definition of normal evolves. You might hire help at home to save time, buy better quality items that last longer, or even own a small vacation spot to escape to. And through it all, you feel the shift. You're no longer playing defense with your money. You're playing offense. Your wealth gives you the power to choose experiences, not just things. You can live fully, breathe freely, and explore life without fear of falling behind. You can afford higher education. One of the clearest milestones of the upper middle class is when education stops being a burden and becomes an investment. College tuition, advanced degrees, private schools, these are no longer dreams or debts waiting to happen. They're choices you can make confidently. You don't pick schools based on financial aid anymore. You pick them based on what's best. Whether it's your own education, your children's, or even an overseas program, you can afford to invest in learning without fear of losing stability. Education becomes a strategy. You see it as a long-term return, a path that multiplies value over generations. It's no longer a cost. It's a gift. One that strengthens the foundation of everything you've built. You can retire. Early retirement, the dream that feels distant to many, begins to look achievable when you enter the upper middle class. You're not fantasizing about sipping cocktails on a tropical beach at 40. But the truth is, you could if you wanted to. Your retirement plans are filled. Your savings grow through diversified investments. Your income flows from more than one source. You no longer have to work. You choose to. You might scale back, start something new, or take a long break. The beauty of it is freedom. Freedom to decide how you spend your time without fear of losing your security. You've built a fortress strong enough to let you rest. Time is finally on your side, and that is wealth in its purest form. You have multiple income streams or HAPs. The most defining trait of the upper middle class is this. You no longer depend on one paycheck. You've built a system, a web of income sources that protect and empower you. Maybe you work a high-paying job, own a business, or earn from investments that bring in passive income. You might receive dividends, rent from a property, or profits from a side hustle. Whatever the mix, one truth stands firm. You've created layers of security. If one stream slows down, another flows in. That's what allows you to take risks, chase new opportunities, and still sleep peacefully at night. This is where true stability lives, not in how much you earn, but in how many ways your money moves. There's no universal checklist that defines when you've made it. Everyone's situation is unique. Every story different. What one person sees as upper middle class might look different to another. But here's what matters most. Your peace, your freedom, and your power to choose. If money no longer controls you, if you can handle life's surprises calmly, if you live comfortably while building a future you believe in, then you're already where you're meant to be. Because the real goal isn't a title or a number, it's freedom. The freedom to live life on your own terms.